Chapter 1071. Olivia could still remember the first time she met Marina. Marina had been standing next to Ethan with a protruding belly, wearing a triumphant expression. Olivia could still remember what Marina said before pushing her off the cruise. "Say, will he save you or save me?" On top of that, the memory of herself resorting to pawning her wedding ring while Marina was holding her head high was still vivid in her head. Olivia had imagined herself meeting Marina again countless times, but none of it turned out this way. "Miss, oh dear, why did it turn out like this? I'll call the ambulance." The butler became frantic. Judging from the amount of blood bled, Olivia could tell that it happened only a moment ago. She quickly pressed the wound with a cloth to stop the bleeding. "Don't worry, she hasn't bled much. It's not a deep wound. Her life isn't in danger." "Who are you? Who told you to come here? Get away from me." Marina struggled to break free from Olivia. She didn't seem to be in her right state of mind. While Olivia was defending against Marina's protest, her face was stained with blood. Olivia slapped her right in the face without hesitation. "Calm down already," said Olivia coldly. Marina was stunned, not expecting that from a stranger. In fact, that was nothing considering that Olivia had been slapped multiple times. She was also forced to kneel on her knees and almost had her face ruined. Marina stopped her antics, and the butler said, "Miss Carlton, calm down. She's the doctor who's going to treat your legs. Why did you do such a silly thing?" Imagine how sad Mr. Carlton Sr. would be when he finds out about this. The mention of Otto rendered Marina silent. After all, the only person who treated her genuinely well was him. Even after learning that she wasn't his biological granddaughter, he didn't drive her out of the family. He even settled her down so that she could spend the rest of her life without worries. Otto's condition was getting worse. His time was running out. The fact that Marina attempted suicide would be too much for him to take in. It might cost him his life too. Olivia calmly treated Marina's wound while informing the butler to prepare some stuff. Anxious, Fabian said, "You must save my sister. It doesn't matter how much the fee is." He seemed to be worried sick like a good brother would. Still, the hatred in Marina's gaze didn't go unnoticed by Olivia. "Don't worry, this is my job," replied Olivia indifferently. She stitched the wound up neatly. The needle poked into Marina's skin without the use of anesthesia. Although Marina wished to die, she failed to do so. The stitching process hurt so much that it made her grit her teeth. "Does it hurt?" Olivia asked. "Of course, it does. Won't it hurt if I were to poke you with a needle?" Marina had been living a tough life these years, but her temper was as vile as ever. Lowering her head, Olivia sneered. She thought, how could this hurt? When I was injured that winter, I dragged myself to the hospital for my stitches. That hurt like hell. Soon, Marina's wound was treated. Olivia looked at Marina's drenched robe. "Get something dry for her to change into." "Okay, the maids can do it. You must be tired from traveling so far. You can get some rest outside. I'll tell you her condition in the meantime." Olivia wondered if Fabian was afraid of her seeing something. He asked her to leave the room as soon as she was done treating Marina's wound. Okay. Olivia was smart enough to sense that something was off. She stood up immediately. "Keep an eye on her. I can help out a living person but not a corpse." Before she left the room, she saw a discarded condom in the trash bin from the corner of her eyes. She thought, bingo, I'm happy to learn that you're having it tough right now, Marina Carlton. Chapter 1072. Olivia was led to the living room. Fabian handed her the documents he prepared. "Here are Marina's medical reports from the past few years. Please go through them." She read the huge stack of reports thoroughly. She underwent a surgery before. Yes, but it wasn't that successful. She still can't stand. Speaking about it, she's a pitiful person. Her legs were broken due to a car accident when she was young. Her parents passed away, and her engagement was called off. What is she going to do in the future? Please save her. As long as you can make her walk, I'm willing to pay however much you want. If Olivia hadn't seen the condom in Marina's room, she would have been deceived by Fabian. He appeared to be such a fine man. Which subordinate would have the nerve to do that kind of thing to her when Otto cherished her so much? Besides, there were only female servants serving her. On top of that, only the butler waited for Olivia's arrival. Fabian welcomed her afterward. He was obviously enjoying his business with Marina at that time. Olivia had encountered a lot of fake people like him. She read Marina's latest medical report before concluding, she can be treated. Really? Yes. Based on the recovery of her bones, there is still hope that she could stand up. Besides surgery, she will need acupuncture. It'll take at most 3 months to make her stand again. I'm so glad to hear that. I knew it. As long as it is a capable doctor like you, she'll be able to stand up again. He expressed joy, but this is my judgment solely based on her medical reports. The actual results still depend on her condition. Okay, please have some tea. It won't be too late for you to check on her once she calms down. There's no rush. I have time. She drank the tea casually. After the cancerous tumor in Olivia was removed, it was as though she had started life anew. Finally, she had time in her life to deal with her enemies. A while later, the butler came over. Miss Carlton is ready. Please come over to check on her. When Olivia saw Marina again, Otto was there as well. He was right next to Marina. He had definitely aged as the time passed. Marina was using his phone to make a video call. A familiar voice resounded from the other side of the line. Marina, I told you that I will never see you again. If you call me through Mr. Carlton Sr.'s number again, I'll block. Ethan stopped halfway through his words because he saw a woman walking through the door. And she had the same face he saw in the village. He thought, lives at Carlton residence. Just how busy is she? Marina, who didn't realize that he was acting out of character, raised her hand. Ethan, I almost died a while ago. Can't you come visit me? Even if it's for a second. Olivia thought, wow, she hasn't given up yet. She crossed her arms and questioned indifferently, Miss Carlton, am I interrupting something? Marina finally noticed that Olivia was there. Gritting her teeth, Marina couldn't forget how Olivia slapped her amidst the mess. But Marina had to feign misery in front of Ethan. Ethan, I'm seriously going to die soon. He interrupted her, I'll be right there soon. He hung up the call, and her face lit up almost instantly. It was as if she found the light in her life. Olivia's gaze fell upon Fabian, who avoided them. Still, Olivia managed to catch on the cold glint beneath his eyes. She thought, it seems like Ethan isn't the only person mad here. Marina said joyfully, Grandpa, did you hear that? Ethan is coming over to visit me. This outfit is out of trend. Poppy, bring over the clothes from the latest collection. I want only dresses. Since Miss Carlton is busy, I guess I shouldn't get in the way. Chapter 1073. The Carltons became anxious as soon as they heard that she was going to leave. Please don't leave. I jumped through hoops just to find you. You can't go. My granddaughter is counting on you, said Otto. Yes, doctor. Please check on Miss Carlton's legs. Miss, this is Vanessa, the person I told you about. Her medical skills are top-notch. She excels in a lot of areas. She said that there's a chance for you to walk again. Only then did Marina look at Olivia with bright eyes. Really, can you make me walk again? As long as you give me your cooperation, replied Olivia indifferently. Marina thought of something and decided to shrug off the fact that Olivia had slapped her. Marina nodded. Okay, I'll do as you say. Miss Carlton, remember your words. Don't regret it later on. Why would I regret it? As long as you can treat my legs, I'm willing to do anything. Okay, I'll check your condition first. Please lie down. Fabian chimed in, let me do it. He walked toward Marina's side and bent over, preparing to carry her. Resentment and fear were written over her face. Her body was trembling when he touched her. She was afraid. Olivia found that ridiculous. Marina had been haughty her whole life. It was rare to see her being afraid of others. Now, it made Marina and Fabian's relationship even more questionable. Olivia pulled the hem of Marina's pants. Since Marina couldn't walk, her muscles shrunk. How could this be compared to the pain of Olivia losing her parents because of her? Olivia massaged Marina's legs from the calves to the thighs. Marina suddenly grabbed her hands. Enough. Did you find out anything? Nothing. Olivia withdrew her hands. I can treat your legs. Before the surgery, I have to perform acupuncture on you every day to stimulate the nerves in your legs. Sure, I have money, lots of money. As long as you can treat my legs, I can give all of them to you. Marina didn't seem to be completely sane. She continued, Grandpa, leave the room. Ethan is coming soon. I can't see him like this. Otto wanted to say something but didn't in the end. He asked everyone to leave the room. Ethan would always be her obsession. Olivia, who was asked to leave the room, took a few sips of coffee and realized that Fabian was missing. She acted naturally by stating that she needed to go to the toilet. But she returned to Marina's quarters secretly instead. It was quiet. There were barely any servants in the house, but now, there were none of them. She peeked into the window. As she had expected, Fabian had shown his true colors. The malicious man slapped Marina without holding himself back. Bitch, how could you still be missing him? Am I not treating you well enough? Fabian Carlton, if you touch me again, Ethan will come right at you. How affectionate. He'll come right at me. I bet you want him to know how I mess with you, don't you? Does he know that you're all filthy? He unbuckled his belt and thrust himself into her. Go to hell, Fabian Carlton. You better know who your man is, bitch. How dare you seduce another man? I'm going to punish you severely. Stop, Fabian, you can't do this to me. I will tell Grandpa. Fabian chuckled. Tell him then. I hope he'll get a heart attack. And then, the family's property will be rightfully mine. Even you, too. Has Ethan ever fucked you like this, bitch? Olivia wished she could close her ears to shut out those dirty remarks. Marina covered her eyes, sobbing while calling Ethan's name. Olivia thought, these crazy people. Chapter 1074. Ethan arrived very soon. Olivia initially planned to visit again some other day. The idea of meeting him in this kind of situation made her feel weird. However, the rushing man arrived before she could bid Otto goodbye. Marina had done so many things back then. She was the cause of the Carlton couple's and Jeff's death. Otto was helpless and guilty about it, so he requested Ethan to call off the engagement. These years, Marina intended to make up for it to win back Ethan's heart. But she couldn't contact him because he blocked her number. Now, Ethan was finally coming. It wasn't easy to meet him. Even Otto was looking forward to it. If Ethan hadn't refused it, he could have been the best candidate to inherit the Carlton family. The butler informed Marina beforehand, getting her all excited. She hurriedly set a layer of powder on her face as she didn't want Otto to find out about her matter with Fabian. She had driven her parents and Chris' death. She didn't want to do the same thing to her grandfather, who was the only person treating her well. Fabian took advantage of her guilt and hence he had it his way on her for so many years. Poppy was the only person in the loop, but she couldn't do anything about it. Hurry, push me out of the room. Ethan is here. Olivia was viewing the snow under the roof when Ethan and his men entered the place with hurried steps. All these years, Marina could only look up his information online. Now that she saw him in person, mixed feelings churned in her stomach. It was a mixture of joy and excitement. Forgetting about the condition of her legs, she threw herself at him and fell onto the ground. Despite the emotional ride in her, she merely called his name, Ethan. To her dismay, Ethan paid no heed to her at all. He bypassed her, running toward Olivia. Even though Olivia was wearing a mask, he was experiencing the same emotional moment as Marina did the moment he met Olivia's eyes. He loved her and was afraid that she would vanish from his life. Ethan, you're finally here. Otto's voice pulled Ethan's senses back from the reverie. Only then did Ethan withdraw his gaze and put up an act. It's been a while, Mr. Carlton Sr. How are you doing lately? Otto, who was sitting in a wheelchair, shook his head. Ever since that woman cut off the medicine supply, his condition was deteriorating. He was stepping into his waning years. No matter how much he wanted to deny it, it was a fate that he had to accept. How can I be fine at this age? How could you not visit me at least once? Sorry, I was quite busy the past few years. While they were sharing words of courtesy, Olivia watched Fabian carry Marina from the ground to her wheelchair. Mockery laced the corner of his lips as he whispered into her ear. Although Olivia couldn't hear him, she could guess what he told Marina. Ethan's patience was running out as Otto kept talking to him. Ethan averted the topic. "This is..." Otto introduced, "This is the famous doctor I invited over to treat Marina. She's Vanessa." "Oh, Vanessa, I've heard a lot about you. It is an honor to meet you in person." He pretentiously reached out for a handshake. The corner of Olivia's lips twitched. If someone didn't give him an award for his acting, it wouldn't do his acting justice. Left with no choice, she stretched her hand out. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Miller." He tickled her palm lightly while shaking hands with her. In spite of that, he wore a polite expression. "Do you know me? What have you heard about me?" She attempted 3 times before she could withdraw her hand successfully from him. "I heard that you're a gentleman who has been staying single after divorce. And that you're a hot catch among the ladies in Aldenvine." Chapter 1075. Ethan, who seemed to be into this game, asked intriguingly, "You're young and capable. May I ask if you're married?" Olivia spared him a glance. A wise man never falls in love. Marina was stunned, doubting if he was here to see her. She couldn't understand why he was curious about a stranger's marital status. Still, she didn't dare to do anything that might make him hate her. He ignored her for so long, and it was a rare chance for him to come. She said carefully, "Ethan." Only then did Ethan recall that he came over in the name of visiting Marina. He shifted his gaze onto her. Marina appeared skinnier than years ago. Pale-faced, she sat in the wheelchair while staring at him pitifully. Before this, he would have pitied her because of Kurt. But the thought of what Olivia had suffered in the past, the pity, gave way to indifference. He inquired, "It's been a long time. How have you been?" She answered with teary eyes, I'm fine. Don't worry, Mr. Miller. Nothing will happen to her as long as I'm looking after my sister." Fabian drew Ethan's attention. Ethan was aware of what happened within the Carlton family. His impression of Fabian was from his younger days when the latter appeared sickly and thin. Now, Fabian had grown up into a man with the demeanor of the head of the family. They didn't interact much before this, so Ethan gave an aloof nod. "I see." Otto was happy. "It's been a long time since you last visited, Ethan. I specially asked the kitchen to prepare more dishes. You must stay for the night to keep me company for tea." Ethan couldn't refuse the enthusiastic invitation. He then looked at Olivia. "People say that Vanessa's a skillful doctor. I wonder if Miss Carlton can walk again. She definitely wasn't here to play the good guy, she had her motives." "Yes," she answered briefly. He began showering her with compliments again. Before he could butter her up, she announced, "I can perform the acupuncture on Miss Carlton starting today." "Great, that's for the best. I'll be entrusting my granddaughter to you. This is my job. Let's not waste any more time. We should start now. I've been admiring you for a long time, Vanessa. Do you mind if I watch by the side?" "Do as you wish." Marina was disheartened. Ethan only spoke to her once, and yet he treated the doctor enthusiastically. But she didn't dare to throw a tantrum. She was satisfied at the sheer idea of being able to walk again so that she could see him often. It didn't matter if their relationship couldn't return to how it was before. Olivia wrote a prescription so that the butler could brew the medicine for Marina's foot spa. The hot water was proffered to the front of Marina. Although she couldn't stand up, she could still feel her legs after that surgery. "Should the water be this hot?" Olivia replied expressionlessly, "Only that will be effective. Miss Carlton, here." Poppy lifted Marina's feet to place them into the basin. Marina slapped her. "Are you trying to cook me with that hot water, bitch?" Pity was often intertwined with fault. Even though Marina was abused by Fabian, she abused others too. She had always been that Marina Carlton. She didn't change. Olivia ordered, "Please dip your feet in it for an hour." "That long? You have to do this for 3 hours every day from now. Today's just the start. Please be mentally prepared, Miss Carlton." Chapter 1076. The water was so hot that Marina kept scolding people. Still, she couldn't lift her legs herself. All she could do was to cry while scolding. Why did she have to suffer that when she already met her miserable fate? Otto sighed and cooed, "Marina, put up with it. You'll reap what you sow. You'll be able to walk after this." "It's hot, Grandpa, I'm burning. I think my skin is going to burn. I don't want it anymore. It hurts." "Where did you come from, you quack? Why are you doing this to me? I didn't do anything to you. Ethan, save me." Marina's whining didn't stop coming from her room. At the same time, Ethan and Olivia were enjoying tea and the snowy view outside. How could he hear Marina when his eyes were only on Olivia? The Carltons were comforting Marina in her room, so the two were alone outside. The design of the Carlton residence was the same as that of the Fordham residence. The buildings were aesthetically pleasing. The scenery was breathtaking whenever it snowed. Ethan proffered a grape to her lips. "Have some grapes to cleanse your mouth." Since he had already placed it in front of her, and there was no one around, she didn't refuse it. After all, those people were preoccupied at the moment. She ate it from his fingers, and he caressed the tip of her tongue briefly. Their hearts skipped a beat when his rough fingertip touched her wet and soft tongue. She glared at him, thinking disapprovingly, what is he doing? Does he not know where we are right now? Yet, Ethan licked his fingertip that touched her tongue. The grape is sweet. His actions conjured the images of sexy male leads from movies in her head. But Ethan appeared sexier because he was wearing a suit. Without her realizing it, the grape juice spilled a little from the corner of her lips. He supported himself by pressing on the couch before propping her chin up to kiss her. Olivia's eyes widened. She wondered, what is this bastard doing? I'm here to seek revenge, and yet he's here for a secret lover's play. Has he always been this perverted? His soft tongue danced in her mouth, smearing the grape juice in both their mouths. Hearing incoming footsteps, she shoved him away. Fortunately, the incoming people were slow because the butler had to push Otto over here in a wheelchair. By the time they came, Ethan had released Olivia and sat opposite her. Otto noticed their weird expressions. "I hope you don't mind Ethan's attitude, Vanessa. He's a reticent man, not cold." She thought, "Cold? You don't know how eager he was a moment ago." Ethan said implicitly, "Don't worry, Mr. Carlton Sr. Vanessa traveled so far, and she's an important guest. I will treat her well. I told her to have some grapes." "Vanessa, what do you think about the fruit?" She huffed in her head, "What fruit?" He's clearly referring to the kiss. "This is not perverted. This is a weird kink." She turned her head away, avoiding his gaze. "Not bad. I guess you're not that happy with it. I have high-quality tea and fruits back at my place. When you're free, could you do a checkup on me? My chest is hurting these days." Otto, who wasn't aware of their relationship, took it seriously. He thought that Ethan was trying to seek medical advice from Olivia. "I heard that Vanessa is knowledgeable in cardiac research. You should definitely let her check on you." Ethan stared at her. "What do you think, Vanessa?" The way he called that name was seeped with a tinge of lust. Chapter 1077. Olivia, who was certain that it wouldn't be a simple checkup, scolded the perverted man inwardly. She responded expressionlessly, "It's almost time. I gotta proceed with Marina's treatment." Her leaving figure elicited a smile on Ethan's face. He thought, "Liv, oh, Liv. I love you so much. Where can you possibly run to?" When Marina's feet were lifted from the water, they were red and covered with blisters. Marina was crying in pain. "Marina, don't cry. It'll be fine soon," comforted Fabian, who liked her. Ignoring Fabian, she looked at Ethan while crying. "Ethan, it hurts so much." Her response was no different from a slap in the face to Fabian. His eyes dimmed. As the bystander, Olivia saw through everything clearly and found it interesting. Marina inherited the good genes from Jeff and Chloe, hence, she looked pretty. Her eyes took after Jeff's while her features were similar to Chloe's. If it wasn't for her haughty attitude, she would have been able to win a lot of people's hearts with that look alone. Even Kurt made sure she was settled down with a good life after his death. Marina could easily be any man's first love. Needless to say, her suffering might earn empathy and care from the people who loved her, but that wasn't the case for Ethan. She drained Kurt's favor away and made Ethan and Olivia end up this way. All these years, Ethan resented Marina as much as he missed Olivia. If it wasn't for Kurt, Marina wouldn't have been able to stay alive as of today. Thus, her tears wouldn't cause Ethan to waver. Not even a single bit. He replied coldly, "Look for the doctor then. Why are you looking for me? I'm not a painkiller." Marina bit her lip, not expecting such hurtful words from him. Olivia opened her medical kit. "Done crying, Miss Carlton? If so, I'm going to start acupuncture now." Marina looked at the both of them with widened eyes, thinking, demons. They are demons. If Chloe was the only dead victim in Marina's hands, Olivia wouldn't have taken it this far. But Marina drove Jeff to his death. He was Olivia's adoptive father who had warmed up half of her lifetime. She sacrificed everything to save Jeff's life from danger, and he was gradually recovering. He would have been able to live like a normal person after 1 or 2 years. Unfortunately, Marina's ignorance ruined everything. The news was too big of a blow for him to take in. What did he do wrong? And what did Olivia do wrong to the point that she had to lose her father? Jeff looked forward to meeting the twins in her belly at that time. But he couldn't see their faces in the end. Olivia blamed Marina for it. Jeff was buried in the cold ground, so how could Marina live the life of a princess? Olivia wanted to return the suffering to Marina 1,000-fold. Before the acupuncture, Olivia took out a tube of ointment. "Apply it on her feet. Once the skin absorbs it, I'll start the acupuncture." "I'll do it." Fabian took the ointment. She said monotonously, "Remember to poke the blisters before applying the ointment. It'll be more effective that way." If Marina stopped crying, "Are you a demon on a mission to torture me? I'm the Grim Reaper coming for your life." Of course, Olivia didn't say that aloud. She replied, "If you wanna walk again, do as I say. Otherwise, I'll leave." Chapter 1078. Don't leave. I wanna walk again. I will do as you say. Marina looked at Poppy. "Apply the ointment for me." Poppy looked at the blisters-covered feet and stumbled over her words. I don't think I can do it. Why not let Mr. Fabian do it?" Otto, who wasn't aware of the whole situation, said, "Yeah. Let Fabian do it. He's daring but meticulous." Fabian appeared to be a loving person to Otto because Fabian treated Marina well even though they weren't blood-related. After Fabian began managing the household, he didn't mistreat her because of her identity. He treated her with care instead. So, Otto believed in Fabian. Marina bit her lip, not knowing what to say. Knowing what was actually going on, Olivia enjoyed the show. It seemed like things were going to get interesting from now. Just a light touch of the blister hurt. Yet, Olivia asked Fabian to poke it before applying the ointment. Even he himself could barely do it. "Just hold on." He didn't hesitate with his moves, and it hurt so much that Marina wailed. After poking the blisters, he applied the light blue cream onto them. It was the same as smearing salt and covering a layer of spice across the wound. Marina screamed in agony. The pain sent her body trembling. Beads of sweat ran down her forehead. Before she could scold anyone, she fainted. "Vanessa, what's going on?" Olivia replied languidly, "I made this ointment myself. It's a very strong medicine, but it has the best effect. The normal medicine out there can do almost nothing for her. Just wait and see. 30 minutes later, you'll be able to see the change of her legs." "But, the price is that she has to suffer hell." Fabian hurriedly asked, "Will it take a toll on her health?" She sneered. "There's no such thing as a happy ending in this world. She won't be able to own everything without sacrifices." Without a care of what the Carltons thought, she took her needle pouch out to perform the acupuncture. She especially brought thicker needles for Marina. "Vanessa, why are your needles this thick? This is not a minor illness. Do you think that the usual needles can help?" Olivia questioned back. She began inserting the needles one by one. On the 10th needle, Marina woke up. The area where the ointment was applied didn't hurt that much anymore, but the needles were hurtful. She cried while looking at Ethan. "Ethan, it hurts. It hurts so much. Save me." The day of Olivia's first delivery replayed in his head. It was preterm labor, and she was losing a lot of blood. He stood outside the operating room, hearing her yelp at the top of her lungs. People said that giving birth to a baby was the most hurtful thing in the world. Could Marina understand the pain and tears Olivia shed because of her? He responded icily, if you're afraid of the pain, then stop the treatment. It's not that bad to live in a wheelchair forever. Are you still blaming me, Ethan? I didn't recognize him back then. If I had known that he was Jeff, why would I say that? It was an accident. She ended up screaming again. Olivia exerted more strength, and Marina was in excruciating pain. Miss Carlton, some things couldn't be glossed over by saying that it was an accident. It's like how the dead can never come back to life. Marina met Olivia's eyes, which appeared familiar to her. But Marina was confident that she had never seen that face before. What do you want me to do then? He's dead. Do you want me to go to him? Then, why are you saving me? Because the living person should etch the pain of the deceased in their bones. Chapter 1079. Who are you? Grandpa, I don't want her to treat me anymore. Marina felt an instinctive fear. She could sense the hatred the woman had for her. The woman also reminded her of Olivia. After Olivia left all those years ago, no one heard from her again. Some people said that she was already dead. No matter where she was, this person before her shouldn't be Olivia, right? Olivia was calm. I was just commenting on the discussion between you and Mr. Miller. Why are you acting so suspicious? Did you really do something bad? Marina was the one that caused the deaths of both Chloe and Jeff. She deserved to rot in hell. Marina, you're being too sensitive. The doctor is very busy. We only managed to get her to come after contacting her multiple times. Stop overthinking and endure the pain. It's all for you, so you could stand up again. Endure the pain. How much longer do I have to endure it? You need to go through 3 months of treatment. If the results are positive, the time frame could be shorter. We'll start the surgery after the treatment. 3 months. That would mean she would have to endure this kind of torture for almost 100 days. Marina shuddered at the thought. Finally, all the needles had been stuck into her legs. She felt pain emanating from every single pressure point. Marina's face paled, and she was covered in sweat. Keep it like this for 30 minutes. Marina thought the torture Fabian put her in was already hell. But that was nothing compared to the pain she felt at the moment. As the sun was setting, Olivia collected the needles and said, soak her feet and apply the ointment before I get here next time. I'll only be performing acupuncture, okay? Fabian nodded. Thanks. It's getting late. Why don't you eat dinner with us before you leave? Alright, but just this once. You don't need to prepare food for me next time. Olivia acted very coldly and indifferent the whole time. Understood. Fabian handed Olivia a check for $2 million. This is the payment for the treatment. I'll pay you handsomely when my sister is able to stand up. Olivia didn't turn him down. We'll talk about that when the time comes. When they were at the dining table, Marina initially didn't have the energy to get up. But Ethan was there, so she had to eat with them no matter what. The seat next to Marina was empty, but Ethan went to sit next to Olivia. My chest hurts, Vanessa. When can you take a look at it for me? Olivia didn't even raise her head. It's just a minor issue, Mr. Miller. You just have to get some herbal medicine from an experienced doctor. Ethan, this is your favorite dish. I specifically asked the chefs to prepare it for you. Marina suddenly butted in and brought some food over to Ethan with great effort. I used to like it because it was one of the dishes Liv used to make. What I liked was Liv, not the dish itself. Olivia almost choked on the food she was eating from the shock of his sudden confession. What was wrong with Ethan? Was he possessed? Marina's gaze was filled with disappointment. You two have been divorced for so many years. Why are you still thinking of her? Ethan retorted, should I be thinking of you instead? Otto cleared his throat. Let's eat. Ethan finally came to visit. Let's not talk about that. Marina had no choice but to shut up. Then, she saw Ethan putting some meatballs on Olivia's plate. This is an Aldenvine specialty cuisine. Give it a try and see if you like it. Olivia used to love spicy food. This was one of the few non-spicy dishes that she liked. She would cook it herself occasionally. Ethan remembered all her preferences. Thanks. Marina's eyes widened in shock. Why would Ethan be so nice to a stranger? Fabian suddenly asked, your accent sounds very Local. Are you from Aldenvine, Vanessa? Chapter 1080. Fabian had been keeping to himself most of the time. That was exactly why he was the hardest person to grasp. Olivia looked at him and said, "It's none of your business whether I'm from Aldenvine or not." Initially, Olivia came up with this cold and indifferent persona to avoid trouble. People would think she was bad-tempered and wouldn't talk to her that much. She didn't have to care about what others thought of her since she wasn't the one asking for help. Fabian smiled awkwardly. "That's true. It's just that we would be seeing each other for 3 more months. I was just trying to get to know you. Perhaps we can even become friends. Did I do something to cause this misunderstanding? I'm here to treat a patient, not to make friends." Olivia's words were quite rude. The Carltons were a wealthy family. She was just a doctor. What gave her the right to be so arrogant? Marina realized that Vanessa treated everyone the same. She was delighted to see Vanessa snap at Fabian. The meal ended in a very awkward atmosphere. Only Otto acted like a normal person. Olivia set her cutleries down and told them she was leaving. Otto grabbed Ethan's arm and insisted that he stay and drink a couple of rounds with him. Ethan grew anxious when he saw Olivia leave. So, he turned down Otto's offer and told him he had some business to tend to. Then, he rushed out in a panic and managed to stop Olivia before she got in her car. He took the keys from her grasp and threw them to Kelvin. He dragged her into his car, ignoring her resistance. "Ethan, stop this." Ethan sealed her lips with a kiss while Brent was in the driver's seat. He would never do something so out of line in the past. He was getting out of control. "Have you been getting along well with Warren, Liv?" Ethan asked as he nibbled on her lips. He knew she would never do anything intimate with Warren, but he couldn't help feeling angry that she was spending time alone with another man. Olivia knew that Henry would tell Ethan about that. She didn't expect Ethan to figure out that Vern was Warren. "I'm just doing this to avenge Mona and to find the mastermind. There is information suggesting that Warren has been in contact with that person." Ethan pressed her against the car door and continued to kiss her. "Even so, I still..." Before he could finish his sentence, someone knocked on the car window. It was Marina, who was in her wheelchair. She couldn't see what was going on in the car, but Ethan could see her clearly. They were only separated by a door. Olivia was panting next to Ethan. Ethan rolled down the window halfway. It was snowing heavily, and Marina was looking at him with yearning in her eyes. "Ethan, are you just going to leave me like this? Do you know how much I've suffered in the past few years? You are the one who made your own choices. You only have yourself to blame." Ethan looked at her coldly, without a shred of concern in his eyes. At her height, Marina couldn't see Olivia. Ethan had bitten Olivia on the lips, and it still stung. So, Olivia mischievously pulled Ethan's shirt out of his pants and reached in. She was just out in the snow, so her hands were cold. She caressed Ethan's abs. Her touch made Ethan shiver. Marina didn't know what was going on in the car. She continued, "I've been reflecting on my mistakes all these years, Ethan. I know I was wrong. Can you please stop being so cruel to me, for Kurt's sake? He would still be alive if he didn't catch a bullet for you. My children wouldn't have lost their father, and I wouldn't be in this pitiful state." Olivia could even feel the sense of gloom and doom through the glass.